Hello and welcome back, everyone. Sorry, I have taken a little bit of a break again. I was dealing with some things in the family. And will say congratulations to my sister who moved away, basically. So that was a little sad for me, but I'm happy for her. But yeah, been just busy in real life, so I did want to get this video out actually for a few days now. Anywho, I will be talking about Arknights today. This is a game I have been kind of no-lifing. Very fun. It is primarily a resource management and team gathering tower defense game. That said, I have been wildly impressed with the game overall. I actually got into it like 9 months ago now, or maybe a little longer. It was the first season of the anime that came out was quite interesting. So I started playing the game, and more just kind of fell in love with it. It's a really fun game. So I'll talk briefly on like the setting. How to put it? So basically, there are like three main things I really love about this game. It is the story, the music, and the gameplay. Those are my favorite things about the game. I do have some complaints about it. It is a gacha game, and those generally have some negative connotations for good reason. Do not recommend this game if you do not have good self-control. But that said, I think this is easily the best in its genre of gacha games, if you can call that a genre, instead of a monetization system. Whatever. But yeah, it's been very fun. Story-wise, it's a bit on the longer side. I will say it reads almost like a visual novel. If you've ever gotten into those, the specific chapters can be quite a long read. Thankfully, you can just skip the story entirely if you don't care about it, or you can skip the story and then go back and read it when you have more time. So that is always nice. You can skip all the story you want, and there's basically no punishment. But I do highly recommend the story if you are into that. And if you are willing to get into the story, I would say wait until the second season of the anime airs, and then watch both the first and second seasons, as they will cover... Well, the first season covers a lot of the weaker story, in my opinion, like the setup and build-up and everything. And the second season really hooks you in, or will really hook you in, as long as they do well on it. But it hasn't come out yet, so I can't really predict the future. I just know those chapters that it will cover are great. As far as characters go, this is Amiya. That is the main character of the story. And then you, the player character, I say that tentatively, or it's hard to explain. So you see the story through the eyes of the Doctor. They are a typical self-insert character. However, that comparison, or like the being able to self-insert as the Doctor, kind of dies a little bit later. They have their own story, and it's extremely interesting as well. It's actually finally gotten some elaboration in recent events. So being like, some people just say that they are the Doctor, which it doesn't really work in this context. But yeah, that's the story. Basically revolves. The main story revolves around Amiya. Side stories revolve around other characters, and the Doctor is kind of just observing it all and trying to help out. Anywho, I won't touch on the story too long. If you are interested in it, I would highly recommend getting into it. It's quite fun. Maybe I'll do a video on story lore later. I don't know. Music is amazing in the game. I'm letting the main theme play in the background right now. I probably won't play too much music just because I don't know how YouTube copyrights and all that jazz would work. But I might make a playlist of all the songs I just loved from the game so far. A lot of the memes in the community is the Arknights is the game published by the music studio Hypergriff, or that they publish the game just so they can make more music. But I mean, it really holds true. They have some amazing songs. Anyway, what you all probably here for is gameplay. So let's get into it. I do want to make this a somewhat shorter video because I have a habit of rambling on. So we'll go ahead and just play through some levels. I'll play like 2 levels. One really easy, and with a basic squad, and one with a more flashy squad, and being able to kind of just show how crazy some stuff can get. But I'm not going to do any spoilers or anything like that. So no boss stages, no crazy things. But so we'll go ahead and use, this is 3-star characters. This is kind of your base squad. You start basically with the game. The game basically gives you these out in like the first couple hours. So as far as character acquisition goes, the rarer characters, you actually get them quite a lot for free to play. Obviously, as a gacha game, they do need to monetize it. So I would suggest, if you are going to be free to play, to just aim for certain characters that you enjoy and go for them, because you can target down one character pretty easily, but trying to collect the entire field is not reasonable. So let's get into this. I have voices turned off right now. It's usually a divisive point for many people. I think the voice acting in the game is actually really good. But I know it can be annoying to some people, and I also don't want them talking over me. So, okay, so first off, we have our map. Red box is where enemies will spawn. You have to protect the sanctity of your blue box. Enemies will try to normally take the shortest route to the blue box. However, there are exceptions to that rule. Exceptions to that rule come later on for particularly difficult enemies and such. This is your deployment points. This is how much you have to spend to place characters. Each of the characters have abilities. So these are vanguards. They generally create more deployment points. You have your snipers, just regular damage dealers. Supporters, who deal generally just deal with slows, but they have more unique abilities later on. Guards, which are like your main melee damage dealers. Tanks as defenders as tanks, healers, and then as these are the basics ones, we don't have any really crazy characters with the crazy abilities, but I will showcase those in a bit. So let's just let this play out. So I know that these all are going to be spawning enemies from these 3 lanes, and they're all going to be coming this way. So let's just go ahead and place a character who has good coverage of everything in this area. We can go ahead and speed this up. So if they can kill everyone, that's great. But let's go ahead and place a melee to somewhat block, and then we can go ahead and put some more to prevent leaking. You'll also have interactable terrain equipment. This sends an EMP blast. Depending on the stage, depending on the event, it changes. So it's a pretty interesting game. So you see my character is getting attacked here. We can go ahead and plop down the healer. But nothing crazy here. Just a pretty average stage. You will see a lot of this stage. Hilariously enough, I chose this stage for a reason. It is one of the best stages in the game to farm. And that brings me to farming. You will basically be farming materials in the game through various stages. This one a lot. To gain materials to upgrade your characters. There is no real RNG besides getting the drops, but you get so many of the drops that those rates basically even themselves out. But it's not like Genshin or something like that where you're rolling for equipment. But yeah, so that's a completed level. You see now I got my drops. Awesome. That is a pretty standard stage, and throughout the early game, that is going to be, what you'll see a lot of. But let's go ahead and do a more flashy stage. I gotta find it first. It was... I should have prepared this. This one. So I'm going to do this stage on a harder difficulty. Let's go hard difficulty. 11-6. Yep, that's the one. And we're going to use some crazier characters. So here I'll be able to showcase some more fun abilities. 121 enemies are coming. So the enemies will be funneling in through this choke point again. But knowing that, we can set up deployments such that we can excuse me, basically funnel them all in and then use gigantic burst damage. So this character has a taunt on him, and we're going to be using that to try kind of draw fire while we place Irene down. So I chose a bunch of characters with flashy abilities. This is a specialist. Specialists, and this is actually a new specialist. They have abilities that are, I mean, just that word, specialist. They generally deal with pushing, pulling, but their abilities vary so much, and it's just hard to describe. So, like, you can't really clump them all together. So here we'll showcase Texas. Boom. But we'll just go ahead and let the gameplay speak for itself. So let's go ahead and heal everyone. This is a pretty OP meta team, if you will, but I just kind of want to showcase really fun abilities that this game has to offer. I should have brought a second healer. She has global range. Let's go ahead and put a horn down. But yeah, while I'm playing this out, I'll talk about, you know, it is a puzzle game. There are ways to like solve things. You can use guides. It's not too hard of a game after a certain point. The early game is a little rough. But once you get past a certain point, it's not too bad, I'll say. I can't think and play. This is not a particularly hard stage either. Some of the harder content, basically, like talking about end game content, a lot of it's going to be like just farming random stages. There are things called contingency contracts, which actually test the abilities of your squad pretty thoroughly. Those get pretty difficult, but again, it's not too bad of a game. Like, it's not too hard. Here, I'll probably end up failing just because I'm talking while playing, not paying attention. But yeah, it's just been a fun game I've been able to play on mobile. I used to play Eidolon a lot on mobile, but with overflow and such, I wasn't really able to play anymore. So this is kind of what I actually did in my meantime. And, like, this kind of took over my mobile time slot, if you will. There is also other modes as well. So basically, you have your main story here. These are like important side stories, kind of. How to put it? Side stories that are relevant to the main storyline. These are side stories that, while relevant to the main storyline, they're kind of more about the world building. Then you have your resources to go farm. This is just where you can burn some of your daily sanity. Sanity is what it's called to farm stages. Here you have special modes. Basically, you can farm premium currency here and premium materials here for specific upgrades. And then here is one of the more fun things. This is actually a roguelite mode in the game. It's very similar to kind of like Slay the Spire, where you're traversing like a map, and the map has like different nodes and everything, and you get powerful collectibles, a lot of RNG events, but you're also drafting your actual team of characters that you have built yourself. So if I have, a certain character with a certain amount of upgrades here, I can draft them in that roguelite mode. So it's actually really interesting. It incentivizes building separate characters. So and then this is when the contingency contracts come back around. This is like the really challenging end game content. So I'm going to refrain from showing off bosses. Bosses are the really interesting stages. They are the ones who make you really think. You also have like weekly events that give tons and tons of materials and free stuff. So It's pretty fun. It's like I wouldn't say I'm like taking it too seriously. It's not the how to put it. It's definitely a fun game to play on the side, but I wouldn't recommend just no like to make it your only main game. I mean, I don't think anyone really would do that with this kind of game, but like it's fun to just, hop on, build some characters and such like that. So, yeah, highly recommended if you enjoy tower defense games. They're also having like an I say this kind of jokingly, but like an open world mode coming soon of sorts. They're working on that, and I think we're actually going to get some version of it soon. I don't know how to explain it better than that, but it's still tower defense, but you're like exploring and gathering resources for like building a base. I don't know. It's weird. It's a cool mode. They have all these cool events like that. The roguelite mode is another one, like where it's still tower defense. It's still you're doing same stages in tower defensing. Puzzle stages, if you will. Because I mean, at the end of the day, tower defenses are basically just puzzle stages or like puzzle games. So if you like that kind of gameplay, highly recommended. There's probably other things I'm not really thinking about. As far as detractors to the game, I mean, there is the fact that it's a gacha game, but it is what it is. I find it fun still, but if you hate those with a burning passion, I don't really blame you. Also, I did forget to mention, this is the resource gathering part of the game. This is a base you can build up in however way you want, and you can basically optimize your base in such a way to gather more materials per day. So there's a whole ton of things. The game has a lot of depth to it. And they're constantly adding more. So, like I said, just highly recommend it. Can't recommend it enough. It has been very fun for me, and I will probably do maybe more videos. I don't know. It's hard for me because a lot of the enjoyment I get out of it is the story, but you can't really put those in video. Like, I mean, I at least I can't find a way to put that in like video format to kind of share with the audience, if that makes sense. But I might do roguelite mode runs. I might do like one or two of them and post them. The biggest problem with that is they are pretty long, about an hour long a piece, give or take. So I think people would enjoy seeing that. It's actually a really fun mode, so look forward to that. I think I'll at least do one and see how people like it. Again, it's a pretty long mode, so I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, like I said, I don't want this video to drag on too long. This is kind of just an intro to the game. I do think it's highly worth playing, just if you like this kind of gameplay, though. There's a roster of a ton of characters, and all of them do crazy, wacky things. Well, not all of them, but some of them do. And also, the last point I'll touch on is balance. The game is fairly balanced. There are a couple characters who, I will say, infringe on the balance, and there's a couple characters that I do think significantly break the balance, but they aren't so bad that it severely hurts the rest of the game. Thankfully, they keep things under wraps, and characters are more about niches that they fill rather than just straight up being overpowered. So I really enjoy that, especially with a gacha game. I mean, let's say you got a character and then they immediately power creep it, it would suck. But this game really doesn't have power creep pretty much at all. I mean, there are a couple cases of it existing, but it's not bad. Like, any game has power creep, I don't care what you say. There will always be power creep, but as far as balance goes, this game is quite high on my recommendation list in the sense that it takes it quite seriously. So anyway, I will stop rambling about it. Let me know what you guys think in the comments if you would like to see that roguelite mode. As far as next videos go, I will probably be doing... So, I was thinking about buying a capture card because I did want to play through not Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, Zelda. I did probably play through Breath of the Wild ages ago and was quite fun. Tears of the Kingdom looks great, but I would have to fish out my Switch and find a way to get a capture card. So, or rather, I could get a capture card. It's just I would have to figure all that stuff out. So that might be later next month or something. I don't know. It'll probably be a blind playthrough too, because I basically haven't looked at anything in the game. It just haven't had much time. So as far as immediate games go, I am not 100% sure yet. Someone was seeming to be interested in a Dark Souls playthrough. I might do like 30-minute sessions of just playing that game and uploading those videos and see what people think. Wouldn't be too much time commitment. Biggest thing for me right now is just time commitment, but we'll see. Last thing is I also have been streaming on Twitch as well. Trying to do that more often, but again, being a working adult sucks. I'm sorry. But yeah, I'm done with my break. I'll be back. I'll probably post another video, I don't know, Thursday or Friday. As far as what game is, we will see. So, I will see you all in the next one.